talking we are talking about this new online. It's been around for a little bit of time, but it continues to increase in terms of value and opportunities. So I'm hoping to show you guys quite a bit of different things that will help you to master this. And I've already put some things up on the screen. So as you notice, and can everybody see okay? Yes?
Yeah.
And you don't have to keep your mics mic'd unless you have background noise going on. You're good to keep it open. So what I want you to see is that it's very similar to what Word has always been. But sometimes I think that we have used this product, but we have never really taken full advantage of it because all we do is go in and we type up what we want and then we're done, right? And so I'm hoping that you will be able to benefit from this. So first of all, we're going to look at your ribbon. And your ribbon, as you can see, are divided into tabs, right? You have your home, your insert, your draw, your design, your layout, your references, mailing, review, and view. So what we're going to do is hopefully cover all of the home and then some of the insert today. And hopefully, if we can, we'll get to both of those tabs and finish them today. So how many of you all are pretty familiar with Word from, before the online came up? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So you know that most of this stuff hasn't changed. So what I want to do is I want to go on and show you by just using this sentence how some things go. So the first section of your home, and the reason why we are going to deal with home is home. And the best way to think about it when you're trying to remember where stuff is home is all about decorations. Most of you all have in your homes decorations. You all have clocks, or you all have photos, or you have lamps and all those things that are in there. So when you think about home, you think about all the things that make your home pretty, right? And so that's what we're dealing with when we're talking about the home ribbon. Your home is up here and it's divided into sections. You'll see here, there's a paste, there's a section that deals with fonts, there's the section that deals with bullets and movement, centering, justify, also for ascending and descending. Then you'll come to the section that deals with headers and how you deal with that. There's a style pane that goes along with that. And then they have this new wonderful thing called dictate and editor. Editor is still what your spelling and your grammar was. However, dictate is a beautiful thing because if you're the type of person who you have some ideas sometimes and you don't always want to type, you can use dictate to be able to dictate on your behalf. So we'll talk about that as we go along. Any questions before we get started? Okay, great. So the first thing is we're going to focus on this section, which is paste. If you notice here, and I want to make sure that everybody can see this pretty well, you'll see that this is pretty much shaded out. And the reason why is because it is not, we haven't told it really anything to do. And so when you start looking at the things that you have available, I would take my mouse and cross the word focus. Did you notice what happened here? What happened? Anybody?
Lit up.
Yes, it lit up. So it made it available to you so that you could see exactly what was going on and how to get that done. And so as you can look at focus, you see that you have now the opportunity to cut. This is your cut section. This is your copy section. and underneath it is your paintbrush, which is a copying format that goes from one location to another. Are you all already familiar with that?
I'm not
No.
familiar with the paintbrush.
No.
Okay, great. So let's go on
No.
and let's start from there.
No.
Focus. We're going to take that word focus that I just highlighted that gives me the opportunity to do that. I can take the scissors, and the easiest one is cut, right? So if I cut it, it's gone. Did you all see that again? Let me do it real again. Take the right here in this top part. Once I've actually offered that, I can cut it. And I said, oh, I don't really want to use that word. Maybe I want to use another word. And instead I might say inspire, right? Because I'm fooling around with stuff. And so, well, I don't know. I don't really want to do inspire. I think I really liked what I had the first time. So I'll go up here at the very top where it says undo typing, and I'll click on that. And I'll click on it again, and I'll click on it again until I get back to my word. Focus, right? So every time that I highlight that, it can give me what I need. The thing that's a benefit about this section of your home is that with this, if I would decide that I'm going to have two of the same sentence in another section, I would highlight all of this sentence, focus on the problem, blah, 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 right? I would take this second section that says copy, I would place it down here, and then all I have to do is use this paste. And it's going to paste everything that you have, because sometimes, like those of you who are in business, those of you who, you might be doing a lesson, or you have some things that are going to be very similar. Why have to retype it again if you have it exactly the way that you want by just taking it, copying it, and pasting it by using that paste bus. Also, the other trick is that you can right mouse click and paste. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any questions about that so far? Because you all are, I'm not sure if I'm getting a sense whether or not you're getting this.
I'm just sitting there and running bit. I don't know any of it. So I'm just sitting there from the beginning to try to learn something. So
That's okay.
that's why I'm not saying anything.
We're recording this, so it'll be helpful for you. So if I wanted to take all of this out, I could very well cut it out by going up there, or I could right mouse click. Now, what I want to show you here on focus, same thing, is that it gives me the opportunity if I decide that I want to use a different font. Say, for instance, I'm using this font now, and I go focus on the problem, because I'm getting creative now, right? And then I go, no, I don't think I want that particular font. I want exactly this font that I had up here, right? On focus. You're seeing that all I'm doing is I am highlighting the word focus. Now I'm going to go to my paintbrush, right? And I'm going to hit that, which is going to copy the format to this next line. So look what I'm doing. I'm taking my paintbrush, and what did it do?
Change the font,
It changed the font to what?
what you originally had.
Exactly. That is what you use your copying format for, or your paintbrush to do. So what it does, instead of me making a mistake, or I might decide in the middle of a document, I want this, I like this. Or I can say, I really like this font, but I've done this whole document in this other font here. So I would take my mouse, go across. I go back to my paintbrush or my copying formatting tool, go completely across. And what happens, guys?
Changes it all to be a
Change
font.
it all. Yeah.
Mhm. And so that is the beauty of that paintbrush that you may not have known that was there to utilize. So maybe you've done your whole document, right? And you've done it in a font, and then you said, oh my goodness, I want to do this in Times Roman. So if I have now Times Roman here, and I want to go back through the document and I want to do everything in Times Roman, instead of me having to go and do a whole swipe, I just go here, boom, and everything is now in Times Roman. Questions before we go to the next section?
Did you say what time Rome is again?
Times Roman, it's just a font. So if I go down to this area here and we're going to go to this next section, it will show you all the fonts that are available to you.
No.
But before we move from the home section where we have paste, cut, and copy format, are there any questions before we move on?
On your section where it says paste, there's a little arrow. Are there other options in that arrow?
Right here?
Yeah, where it says paste.
Okay.
Is there an option there?
Yes. So what you'll see is if you put your downward arrow there, you'll see 4 things. You'll see keep source formatting, which means that for the rest of the document, I want to keep that source formatting in that same way. If I want to match the formatting, I would do that. And if I want to paste in a picture, I can do that here or keep the text only. Paste special is only for those things when you have to do some extreme formatting to make that take place. And that is what's important here. Questions?
Did you click that down arrow or no?
Yes, I did. It says paste options.
Oh, okay. Because I don't see that. That's why I was asking. Okay.
Okay, so let me do this. Let me pause this for just a second. One that started is that the home is our decorations. And the reason why we go to the home first is because just like with your home, you always want to make sure that your decorations are straight in your home. You always have a lamp or a picture or something that makes it special for you. And that is what we're talking about when we're talking about that particular process. Making sense? Can you all now see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we've already covered this paste. You'll have to go back to the recording to kind of go over that. But the next section in our home tab, that's what we're covering now, all the decorations that come into your document. This next section is called your font section. And so just like regular Word, guys, you can go to your font collections and figure out all day long what kind of font that you want to use. There's some things that are automatic. There are other things that you can download later. But you can choose all kinds of different fonts for yourself by just going to that downward arrow that is right next, and it calls the font collections. And so you can even go to, and I hope that you all can see this, where it says fix with. Can you all see that? Okay.
Yeah.
So fix with is these are things that have a fixed width to it. So it, the letters don't all come together the way that you would have like in Times New Roman. There's a section for fun fonts. So if you're looking for something that's fun and exciting, you can use the font that are fun. You can go to modern. you can go to things that are most appropriate for PDFs. So if you're doing something that you want to turn into a PDF that needs to go to people of all kinds who need to be universal in the things that they see, then you will have the suggestions for PDF. Then you have your traditional fonts that are there, and you can make all those changes just by going into that downward arrow here, going into font collections, or you can scroll unto your heart's desire. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions about the fonts? So all of those of you who are on Office or you've ever used Word, you know that there's font sizes that you can change as well. The reason for the font sizes is because you may have something that you want to, to pop out much bigger than everything else, and you can make those adjustments right here. Or you can right mouse click just like you traditionally did in Word and go to font, and then you can make the changes there. But I just think that why go through this if you already have it in your ribbon? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any questions about that? Well, here's where the fun begins. So those of you who use Word a lot, you're very familiar with bold, right? The B here. And you know that that will give you a bold italics. A bolding of your words. The reason why you want to do that is maybe you are trying to emphasize something, either in a work situation, a Sunday school handout, a business document, anything that you have, you still have your bold. It's still in the same place that it was on Word. If you go to on, you'll notice that underneath there, the italicize is still there. It's going to be there right next to it. It's your I. Hasn't changed in this format, so it's pretty much the same. But also under this, I'm using the word this and I'm highlighting this. I'm going to go to where it says underline, that U, underline. Can you guys see that? If I go to that downward arrow, if I just use the one that's here, it'll automatically give me whatever I had used last. But I have choices. I can make a straight line. I can make a double line. I can make a bold straight line. I can make dots, because sometimes that's appropriate when you're doing a survey or something like that. I can use any of these different ones in order for me to underline, and I can underline one word, I can underline the whole sentence, it doesn't matter. Whatever I highlight, like this, I can underline. Any questions about that? Pretty much hasn't changed from before, but hopefully it will give you a better insight. Questions?
No.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to undo that. So now the next section here, you may not be as familiar with. It's called Strikethrough. So if you're working on a document with someone and you're saying, I don't think we need this word here. And so, but you don't want to get rid of the word, or you might be working on your own document and you're like, maybe I want to use this word, maybe I don't. So I can do a strike through by going to this AB strike through. And it highlights that as a strike through. And as you notice here, it makes it, and try to see if I can make it bigger for you. It strikes through the word. So it doesn't get rid of the word there because you're still working on the document, but the strike through says, I might not want that word. I might want to use something else later. And so that's the benefit that I have. I'm keeping the word, just in case I want to use it. So strike through is pretty much the same as Word had it before, but what it does is now you can see it a little bit better than where they had it functioning before. I think the ABC was right after your the subscript and the superscript. So just so that you can understand subscript and superscript, the reason why I had subscript, which is here, these were submitted really for the purposes of numbers. Those of you who are in, engineering, those of you who are in calculus, all those kinds of things, that is what they would use for a lot of formats. And so they would use this subscript. So in the case where I'm going to bring it back here just so that you can kind of see how that works together. I'm going to use words instead of numbers. So if I take my mouse and I go over the word situation and I go to my subscript, the subscript itself raises it to an equation in like squared. So if I wanted to, at this point, I wanted to make clear in my subscript, it would be slightly below, as you can see, slightly below everything else. And so if I was using an equation, I could use that, or if I wanted to do it in a document, I could make that through a subscript. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yes.
But this next portion here is called superscript. And I used a scripture specifically because some of you all are going to be doing, religious work, but some of you all are actually going to be doing equations, or you might do something where you would need to show higher, like when you're using the word squared, like 32 squared, blah, blah, blah. This is what you would use that for, and it's called superscript. Okay, but also for those of you who are Bible teachers, Bible leaders, what have you, or you just want to have that in your document, you can go to the superscript and lift that text or lift that scripture up. So you're not actually, it's not in your document itself. I mean, it's in your document, but it's raised. So, like if you're saying to them, this is what my basis of my information is, you can find that in Colossians, the 3rd chapter and the 2nd verse. It makes sense?
Yes. So Rev, let me ask this question.
Mhm.
So if I wanted to write 3 to the 2nd power, I have 3 and a 2 next to it, and I highlight 2 and hit that not subscript, what's the other one called?
The superscript.
Superscript, and it take the 2 up to
Right.
the 2nd one.
So if I wanted to do this, where you said 3rd to the 2nd power,
Right.
then I would touch my subscript, and
Right.
there you go.
Right. Cool. All right.
Good question. Anyone else about that? Want to make sure that you all are clear? And some of this you may already be familiar with, but I don't want to take any chances with anyone. I want to make sure that we go through all the stuff that's available on Outlook. So you'll see where you can use this in equation. You can see that you can use that in a scripture. If you just wanted to put something aside, maybe you are doing a letter for your family reunion in 2022 or 2023, whenever we can gather together again. And then you wanted to say, instead of them saying, you say, this is the price, blah, blah, blah. And then you wanted to superscript, and you say, make sure that you add tax. Those are the reasons why you might want to superscript, not only for equations, not only for scripture, but for emphasis. Questions?
One other, go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you did the strike on problem, how do you insert the word there? Is it going back if you want to like then to show when you're doing the letter whatsoever? How do you insert the right word that you want to put in there?
Okay, so good question. If I wanted to, in this case, to suggest and did a strike through, I could either make a note by going up to comments, which is over here, and I could say, I would suggest instead of problem, situation. Okay, so I could do a note like that, which would be easier because once they actually are able to get through it and you all finish a document together and you all determine that that works for you, then that person, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the section for references and review, where that person can connect with that and say, okay, I get that's what you want. And so we'll put that in and we'll use that.
You know, I got another question. All the functions that you are showing is on when you download the app to it, it tells you will tell you what the icons indicate, like strike, paste, is all that
Yeah, so every time that you highlight, just like in the original Word version, every time that you highlight a section, you can very well, you know, it'll show you that, but it's just kind of remembering where everything is so that you can do that easily. So let me show you again by sharing my screen.
Thank you.
All right, so here, when I go to strike through, if I highlight it, can you all see where it says strike through?
Yeah, I see
Yes.
that.
Okay, so Word has always been faithful to say, if you don't remember, you know, the exact words for that, these are that. And that's the same thing with Subscript and Superscript. Okay, and it's the same thing with everything through Word. You'll see how it will highlight that so that you don't have to forget. The reason why we take it in ribbons where you have one tab at a time is so that you can easily find it. Instead of you saying, where is that superscript? Well, because I know that it's a decoration, it's my home, I can go to my home key. Does that make sense? That's kind of why we call it home. The next section that you see, I'm going to use the word you for that. All right. And you'll see, yes.
You made that comment for problem. Where do you find that?
Oh, over here. Right here.
No, I mean, no, where is the comment?
Oh, I took it out. I took it out so that you could see the
okay.
rest of the screen.
So if you had not taken it out, where would you see that? Would you see
It would
right
be here
there?
on the side. It would be here on the side. So just like here.
Where that looks, okay.
Yep.
So you can't see it when you're looking at your document?
Yeah, you can see it when you look at your document, because what will happen as we go through the rest of this sections, you're going to see a couple of things that are going to be helpful for you in terms of reviewing and checking. So I can accept that comment here under review. But we're not going to talk about review today.
Right.
But if I decided I wanted to accept that comment that Linda had posed to whoever was doing her document, then I would simply click my accept, and that word would automatically be in the document. And so I don't want to go over there right now, because I want us to stay in the home.
Okay, I just wanted to, since you put that on there, I just wanted to know where you made the comment, where is it? So, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So the next thing.
One other thing, Rev, I'm sorry. So on that Superscript as well, if you got people with a name with an accent on it, you can you can do your exclamation point that and
Yes.
superscript that. That's the accent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yep,
Cool.
absolutely. That's another reason for it. Or if you are writing in a different language, that's always helpful to have
Yeah, the
that
Hebrew
where
and
there are
stuff,
accents.
they
Mhm.
have those accents.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So the next thing that you'll see is you'll see this area that says increase your font size. So for instance, if you're doing a banner, you're doing something that you want something to stand out, you can just go by clicking on that and increase the size. It becomes more giant and ridiculous as you go along, right? Or I can go to the next one that decreases the size.
Mhm.
And they are next to one another. You have your increase, which is your large A, and your decrease, which is your small a, which is also kind of a testing for you to let you know, okay, yeah, if I want something bigger here, or maybe I just want the Y to be bigger. You know, so you remember when we would read stories sometimes, and you know, at a fairy tale, they would have one big letter,
Yeah.
and then all the rest of the small. That's kind of what that concept is.
But real,
Mhm.
yeah, but the down tab next to the font size there does the same thing though, right?
What do you mean?
You know, the one right next to that one.
Yes, but this one, you can do it without having to go up here, because if I can control it right here, why would I have to go and try to look and see what size I want?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, no, it's not 42. Man, no, 72. Maybe I'll do 72.
I see. No,
no, maybe I need 63.
I got it. I got it.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just a little easier way for you to do that. It's all about saving time, right?
Right.
Most of you who work in offices, those of you who are doing ministry, you don't have a lot of time to do any of the stuff that you do. So you want to have the things that are going to make it easier for you and quicker. And to your point, Reverend Terry, which is the next section that we're going to go to, I'm going to highlight this from Will Find a Solution to Come, right? Now I want you to go right next door to where it's big A, little a, right? And then I'm going to show where there is a sentence case, a lowercase, an uppercase, a capitalize each word, or a toggle case. Those of you who've worked with Word before, like you, Cynthia, and probably Lavora, you know that existed before. But the beautiful thing about the availability of that is, say, for instance, you started, maybe you're dictating, or you've even dictated yourself, and you want to change the sentence case. So I want to go and make sure everything is lowercase, which is what that is currently. And then I said, oh no, I want everything uppercase that I've highlighted. So I click on all uppercase. Can you imagine the amount of time that you just saved, that you don't have to go in and go through every word and making sure that it's all uppercase? The same thing with, I'm sorry?
There's a drop down with that arrow too, because I don't see.
So let's go back here. Do you see where I'm circling here?
Yeah, I see where you are, and I see the arrow. There's no drop down.
Yeah, it is a drop down right here.
No, I'm saying I can't see it. I don't know if anybody else can, but when you click that.
I just see it's a case change, but I don't think she clicked on it. Did you click
on
it?
Well, okay, so what you will see, and so you all can write this down, is you'll see 5 things. You'll see sentence case, you'll see lowercase, you will see uppercase, you'll see capitalize each word, and then you'll see toggle case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and then show it to you
Right.
bit by bit. This is sentence case that I'm about to do with the highlighted part that says, we'll find a solution to come.
Okay.
You all see now how it changed to
Yeah,
sentence
but what,
case?
but I think what the young lady was saying is, but we didn't see where you changed that at. We didn't see that central case, lowercase. We don't see that.
That's why I just gave that to you, because you can't see it from my computer, obviously, but you will see it on your own.
So when
you
we
go
click
to-
that down arrow, when we
Mhm.
click that down arrow, all of that will show up.
Exactly. Sentence
okay.
case,
Gotcha. Okay.
lowercase,
Gotcha.
uppercase, capitalize each word, and toggle case.
Yeah, we don't see that. So that's what she was saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah, so
thank
that's, yeah, that's why I was saying that. Thank
Got
you.
it.
So lowercase, is gonna look the same as sentence case. Your uppercase, as I showed you before, is going to look like that.
Mhm.
Capitalize each word. So if I wanted to capitalize each word, so maybe I'm doing a heading, and I decided I wanted to capitalize each word, it's going to do that and make sure that lowercase is for everything else. And then the last thing that you will have is the toggle case.
Yeah.
Questions, because those are great questions that you all have been asking so far. Any questions?
No,
Where were
that's,
you at? Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Cynthia.
I stepped away, but when I came back, you were showing the how to capitalize the first letter. Can you
Yes,
show
ma'am.
me that
Ye-
command?
Yes,
again?
ma'am. If you go to the AA,
Okay.
which says change case, and you go to that arrow that's next to the AA, it'll give you sentence case, lowercase, uppercase, capitalize each word, and toggle case.
Okay.
And so capitalize each word would look like this. Uppercase looks like this. Lowercase looks like this. And toggle case looks like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So the next section that you'll see is next to that. After you fooled around with a lot of formatting, there's a section where you can clear all formatting. Because what happens when you start messing with formatting, it will continue that formatting until you clear that. So if I want to change and I want to have something different than what I have up here, I would clear this so that it just starts typing right for me again. Does it make sense? It will go to what I have confirmed as what I've been using all along, which is Calibri.
Okay.
Does that make sense to anyone, or is it anyone confused? I don't want to move until I know that you're okay.
So you didn't have to highlight anything. You just click clear.
Right,
There you go.
I went over here to where the A is, and it looks like an eraser, and it
There you go.
says clear all formatting.
Mhm.
And then that let me take it out of all of this confusion that I've had on this first line, and it'll
Mhm.
go back to my original thing,
Mhm. Okay.
okay?
All right.
The next section that I want to show you is right here on this bottom area, which is here. You will see your text effects. You will see your text highlight color, and you'll see your font color. I'm going to use this sentence, and I'm going to, let's see, I'm gonna go here, and I'll go down here. So let's start here. If I wanted to use the word solution and I wanted to spice it up, I would go to my text effects, and there's a downward drop arrow for that. I don't know if you can see this. Can you all see that there is a
No.
bunch of A's?
No.
No.
Okay. Hopefully on the video, you'll be able to see this. However, there is under text effects, and those of you who are looking at your computers now, you will see that there are several areas in which you can outline, shadow, reflect, or glow in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that word solution. Did you see the change here that took
Yes.
place?
Yes.
All right. What the effects allows me to do is to go in and play with that a little bit. If I want to make it more reflective, if I want to change the color, maybe I want to use a blue instead. So it'll give me a blue here. It allows me to go into my text effects and do reflections, do outlines, all those kinds of things. As you play along with it, I can make it different types of effects depending upon what I think is going to work. And it makes it more interesting, particularly those of you who have outlines or handouts that you all give out in your company, or you give it out in your Sunday school class, or you give it out, you know, in your business. Sometimes when people are reading, you want to switch it up a little bit so that they can zero in on the things that you want to zero in. And so that's what text effects will do for you as you go through it. And it's a real good thing for you to play with and have a little fun with. The other thing that I want to show you on that same row is for highlighting. So right next to the text highlighting color will be another downward arrow, and it's going to give you various colors to use. So maybe I'm talking about a promise of God and I might use pink, right? So, or I might want it to be a traditional yellow. Or I can use any of the colors that they have for me to change colors and to make those things clear. The reason why you do the highlighting sometimes is if you all are working on a document together, or if you want to highlight something for your students, for your board of directors that you want to get their attention for. In a professional sense, you might want to only use yellow. But if you're doing it in anything else, people can, you know, they'll do with other color that you have. But just make sure that it's not too bold, too strong, that they can't see it. And then the last thing on this section is I want to introduce you to, if you didn't already know, is that you can change the font colors without having to go into, you know, your font section and figure out the colors. So I'm going to highlight, you will find A, right? And I'm going to go up here. Do you all see where the A is and it's underlined and it looks black on my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Right next to there's a downward arrow. And if you can't see this, it will give you a whole theme of colors that you can use. And so if I want to use the theme of like a red, I can just click on the red. And then for that point on, until I change it, you will find a new shiny ball under your tree. And so it allows you to change your colors, your font colors right there. You don't have to look for anything else. It's quicker, it's faster. I can go black, I can go purple, I can go blue, I can go any colors that they have. And if the theme is not there, you can always go to the more color wheel. Can you all see that color wheel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you can choose whatever color that you want in order to make it look exactly like you want your document. So it may not be in the original dropout of your theme colors, but it may be something else that you want to use with your more color scheme, or you may even want to use what they call gradient. Can you see this dropout here?
Nope.
No.
No? Okay, well, gradient allows you to see lighter variations of the same, darker variations of the same. So I'm clicking on a darker variation of this. Or I can go in and I can do my gradient and do a lighter version of the same thing. Does that make sense, guys?
Mhm.
How many of you are already familiar with everything that I've covered so far? Because I want to make sure that something new is happening for everyone.
Something new.
Yeah,
am.
something new is happening.
Something new. I wasn't familiar with all of that.
I didn't know Stripe, Subscript, Superscript. I knew all the rest of the stuff. I didn't know the clear and that other, that A with the, what's the name, that you can change that. Because I usually go in and find my letter and then go to the front and try to change to some exotic where I can just actually change that now, the whole thing, you know, so.
Yeah, you sure
that's cool.
can. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna take all of this out, girl, right now, and I'm gonna bring up bullets. That's the next section that's here.
Mhm.
You'll see bullets, which I'm sure all of you all are familiar with, numbering, which all of you all are familiar with, and you're probably familiar with multi-level list as well. The reason why I want to go over bullets is because sometimes we think that we're just simply stuck with the bullets that we see. I've just clicked the downward arrow. Can you all see anything?
Nope,
No.
know
Okay.
yourself when you do that.
So right now I have these automatically. I have this little, you know, the black one that we always deal with, or it gives me another choice of a diamond, you know, I can see another one that they have is just kind of like the little block, right? But if you go into your document and you go onto the bullets, you will see where it says recently used bullets. And then you'll see a bullet library where it will say at the very bottom, write this down, define new bullet. Define new bullet. So what I can do now is go into their bullet library, and I can pull something that has not been there before. Maybe I want to choose what is what called a wingding, and I'm going to use instead a airplane arrow. Now I would do this.
See that.
Okay,
see-
you can see
we can
that?
see that.
Great,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yes.
So I can click on the wingding and use an airplane. So maybe I am taking a group on a trip and I want to let them know this is the section that talks about all the things that you need to know as it relates to your flight. And so when I click on that, guess what? Every bullet from that point on will be my airplane.
You didn't? Oh yeah, there you go. Okay. So why you see it have the column like things on the out behind it?
I'm
That's
sorry.
paragraph markers.
Oh, paragraph markers, I didn't.
Yeah, we'll be getting to that soon.
Okay.
Okay, so all these bullets now are available to you just that way. But one of the things that I like about what they give you an opportunity to do is to define new bullets. Maybe you have a picture of something else. Can you all see the picture library here?
Yep.
Yes.
And if I wanted to use one of these things, or if I wanted to create my own bullet, all I would have to do is click on that OK, and guess what happened?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So maybe you all are entrepreneurs and you all have a logo that you want to use as your bullet. You could put that into your bullet library, and every time that you do your bullets, it could be your logo there instead of just, you know, the simple, plain old stuff.
Mm.
And what a way to advertise for yourself. Questions? Are you
Would
all
have
with
to
me?
down,
Yes?
would you have to download your logo from somewhere?
Yeah, so like if I had a logo and I wanted to put that in that file, then I have to make sure that it fits within the parameter of that. But yeah, my logo itself can be my bullets. Or you can pull anything from the internet that has that size and, utilize that too. But it's just another
Thank you.
creative way of using bullets and making your document more interesting than that. Let me go to this next section, which is your numbers. And most of you already know that. You can go to your number format and you can use A, B, and C, right? So I can use the number format and I can use A, B, and C. I can use Roman numbers. Did you see the change there?
Yes.
Yeah,
I can use 1, 2, 3. I can go further down and I can change it up by having, on the side, just a little bit of, differences here. Where I have now, the colon in between. And there's just so many other ways that you can do that. Or I can define my own number format by going and changing it to a font that I'm more comfortable with.
So we can see those windows. So those windows are at the bottom, just like with the other,
Yes.
with the first one with the bullets.
Yes. So did you see
Okay.
how I changed it by going to a font and changing those numbers on the side? So I can
Yes.
make it more interesting even by doing that. And that's by going to the downward arrow, going to define number format, just like I did with the bullets.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And just go to font and you can change it and change it to anything that you want. So if we do Apple Braille, it'll be all Apple Braille, okay? So different ones for different things. It may not be important to some of you guys, but if you are doing a lot of writing, a lot of typing, sometimes it's just good to know that you have the familiarity with that and also that you have the flexibility. Questions before we move on? Because we've talked about shapes. We talked about sizes. We've talked about those pictures. Remember up here with the bullets? So now let's talk about the different patterns, which is under multi-level. So here, can you all see this section? Okay. Okay, so let me go to define.
Yes.
You all can see that. So under this one, if I'm not customizing, I can go to the drop-offs that they have already put in place for me, or I can change it to a format that I feel comfortable with. So which means that I can change the font, I can change the font style, I can change the color, and then I can do my multi-level here by changing that area. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So whether or not I'm doing articles, maybe you all are doing articles in corporation, all of those, templates are there. If I need multi-levels and I'm not doing articles of incorporation, but I might want to do chapters, I can do chapters and make sure it's those of you who are writing books, your table of contents, all your chapters can be defined by just chapter 1, chapter 2. I can use other formatting that they already have, or I can create my own formats. And so it allows you the opportunity to do chapters and headings. It gives you the opportunity to just do multi-levels. And that's why we use multi-levels, because it gives us that variety and you don't have to worry about, fixing and doing other stuff. Questions about multi-level? No? Either you're very confused or this is very clear.
Well, I was gonna say, Reverend Yvette, if I don't know what I don't know, I don't know what I need to ask. I guess I got to marinate it on it a little bit.
Okay, that's all right. That's why we're recording. And
Right.
hopefully by going through it yourself together, you will find some things that will really be helpful for you.
Right.
So what I want to talk to you about is the centering, justify left, justify right, and centering. All of those things are the same. So if I want to center format, I go here.
One more thing, Rep.
Yes, sir.
Where were you in the last thing you explained? Because I saw the centering format, or you were right where?
Right here.
Where it says view or review, right up on the view or review. There.
So
Yeah, you were there.
it's
You were
still
there.
under the home tab.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
And this section next to the bullets, the numbers, and this is multi-level.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right.
So right now I have this as align left because it's on the left of the paper. If I go to the center text, it centers everything to the middle. So if you're doing invitations, you're doing, special accommodations, stuff like that, and you want that center, Mr. and Mrs. blah, 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 invite you cordially to our hurrah, hurrah. That's what you would do your centering for. Does that make sense? And then you can also align to your right. And then I can go back to the middle and justify. Which what you really can't see, and it's been always hard for people to see, is that justify just, stretches it out just a little bit. It kind of really doesn't make a whole lot of sense anymore because people don't justify except for an abstract. So if you guys are in a master's program and you all in a PhD program and they ask you to do a literature review, or they ask you to do, a dissertation with, or a review of an article with an abstract, then you would use justify. That's probably the only time that you'll ever see yourself using justify. Questions?
We would use it on pamphlets at times so that all the words would end on the edges on the left and right.
Okay.
Each little section.
Okay.
Yeah. I kind of like stumbled upon that a few years back because I was doing it and it was stretching my words out, and I was like, what is it? I was like, why is this thing doing this? And I just hit, the left thing and then it all went back, to, what it did. But like Anita said, it made sure that everything was right to the edge,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stretching to the edge.
Yeah, so you can use it for those different things, and I hope that would be a blessing to you guys. Also here next to it, you'll see where it says decrease. I'm going to highlight this, and this is to decrease. This is to increase, so that you can move things around the way that you want, right? Because remember, I had it here on the middle section,
Right.
but now I have it here that would be to the left. And then I can take these markers to go further over or go further back. So I'm not just jumping all the way to the end. I'm not jumping, to the side or to the middle. I'm adjusting it to where I want it to be.
Right.
That makes
Does that-
sense?
Could
Everybody
that
see
be
the
a
difference?
word, a sentence, or paragraph?
Yeah, it will do the whole
Whatever
thing
you
that you have
highlight.
highlighted. Yes,
Right.
it just has
Thank
to
you.
be highlighted.
Right. Because I was getting ready to say, if it wasn't highlighted, if you had your cursor on that side and hit your spacing, it'll move it over too, right?
Okay, so let's look at this.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh, I got you. Yeah,
okay,
it moves the whole thing. It moves the whole
Yes.
thing. Yeah,
exactly,
because if that cursor was there, it would just move the word format. It wouldn't have moved. It wouldn't have moved the rest.
exactly,
I got you.
exactly.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Okay.
I heard that. Yeah.
So the
Right.
only other thing that I really want to show you in this section, and there's a couple of things that are there, and you asked about this a little earlier, is here for your formatting, I can go on and I can take that out. But what it does is it keeps me current with where everything is placed in my document. That's why people will put that there to make sure that everything is lining up. When you print this, that's not going to print. This is just a
Okay.
guide for you to line all your information up. Does that make sense, guys?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
somebody told me that earlier. What you call it? A paragraph formatting or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what I did here is I did the Greek alphabet,
Mhm.
which go alpha, gamma, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, eta, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, epsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega, right? Now, the reason why I decided to use this is that in the Greek, that's alphabet. But you know us as those who are in English, we have a different way of identifying what is in its proper order. We go from A to Z. And so if you click on this thing that calls sort, you all see that here?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
It's sort. It's going to sort it. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if you can sort it according to ascending or descending without having to figure it out, without, and this is good for like when you have names, maybe you've taken names and you've typed in names and it's not in alphabetical order, you can go ascending or descending from the Z to A or A to Z. What you're going to see with alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Now, mind you, in our alphabet, B, D becomes before G, right? So if I'm going to put it in ascending order, I'm going to click OK. And what did it automatically do for me?
A to Z.
A to Z. That might not be the Greek alphabet order, but for the alpha order, it's going to put it in ascending and descending. The reason why, like I said, that's helpful for you is if you have somebody, you're typing in names and what have you, and you put it in the wrong order, or you're putting it as people come, you can now resort that to an ascending or descending portion.
Right. That comes in handy when you type in the list in alphabetical order, and then you add a name, but you can't try to find it inserted anywhere. So you just
Right.
put it at the bottom and then just do a
Or the top. It doesn't matter where you put it. If you put it in the middle, it'll still sort it in alpha order for you.
Right.
And descending to, so you notice now I did descending, so zeta went at the top,
Oh.
and now you'll go down and alpha will be at the bottom.
Right.
All right. You already might be familiar with that, but I just wanted to make sure that we covered that before we went on.
Wow.
Questions? The next section is here, where you're going to see your font sizes, where I can go on and do my spacing. So right now I have everything at 1.0 from zeta all the way to alpha.
Mhm.
However, if I want to change it to 1.5, you know, to broaden it, I can just do the whole document by just highlighting it and changing it to all 1.5. Or I learned that they want it in 2.0. I still have the document highlighted and I go to 2.0 and it'll change it automatically. It's so much easier when you've done a document and you've done it and it's finished for you. Instead of you having to go from paragraph to paragraph, just highlight the whole document and it will change it to the spacing that you require. Maybe it's 3.0, or maybe I'm back to 1.
Right.
Questions?
How would you know the numbers to space it at?
So if you are in a, if you're doing a grant or something, they will tell you, we want a grant in, and it'll be in the instructions. It'll say, I need it in Arial, or I'll need it in Times New Roman, and it needs to be font 12, because some of these people are very, very specific. And if you do not give them what they want, they will not even look at your grant. And so that's why, you know, and then they'll say, we want it in 1.5, we want it in 2.0. Those of you who are going to school, your professors will tell you the same thing for whatever that you're doing. They'll want it spaced a certain way. If you're doing MLA, if you're doing APA, if you're doing Chicago Caribbean, they have requirements of how you're supposed to do your formatting. And so that is why you want to be very aware of that before you turn a paper in, before you turn a grant in, before, if your boss, you're working for a company and they say specifically, I want it in Times New Romans, you know, 12 font, blah, blah, blah. You'll want to have that exactly the way that they're asking you. Do I still have you with me, Linda, Cynthia,
Yes,
Marie,
Yes, you still got,
Lori?
Yeah.
I'm hanging in there.
Okay.
So Rhea, would it automatically, does it have like a default that it automatically go back to?
Well, you can default it. Yeah, there is basically in Word, unless you change the default, and you can change that. They normally have it at 1.0, but you can change the default. You can change the spacing and all of that and set it here as a default.
Oh, okay.
So if I always want to use 1.5, I would click on that and then I would click here to set as a default, to tell it all the time, this is what I want.
Because right now, most of our computers are already set at one of those, right?
Yes, yeah, they're always set, and then you can reset it for whatever that you want. I don't like Calibri, and so I usually go on and reset mine for Times New Roman. The only reason why I'm using Calibri is because that's usually what's going to come up on your online version of
Right.
Word.
Okay.
All right. The next one is pretty fun. I like this one a lot. Let me go on and pull this out. Let me stop sharing for a second and pull out this next document for you guys. And we're going to have a little fun.
You're a hard teacher. You don't give us no restroom breaks or nothing. You know?
That is funny. That's hilarious.
no
That's
snack.
You all can stop at any point and get your own snacks. That is fine with me.
Oh, no snack. I just rushed in from work. And try to get all this stuff. And I was like, man.
You know, I haven't snacked yet either. I haven't eaten since breakfast this morning. So just saying. Okay.
I can hold on.
All right. So are there any questions? I'm gonna stop our recording for a second. Absolutely. So we're going to resume. So I'm going to go on and share this area again. And right here, where we have the borders, you know, if I do my drop down, what you guys will be able to see is where it say top borders, bottom borders, left borders, right borders, or all borders. And so that allows you to get, you know, that whole thing across the way. The reason why you use borders sometimes is just to distinguish. If you were doing a pop quiz, guys, those of you who are teachers, if you all were doing a section where you were doing a survey, you could use this. There's many reasons by which you would use this process, but it just lets you know that you can do different things. So if I wanted to take away the all borders, and I wanted to do just the top borders. So let me go here. I would only have one at the top and one at the bottom. I could only have the ones that are left of the borders, see here, or I can do right of the border here, all the way over here.
Okay.
So there's different ways that you can border. Most times you would have them in a more concise way. Let me go on and copy and paste this just to give you an example.
Now, what I actually noticed in that too, Red, while you're moving that, it only bordered those things you had highlighted.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
that's what the deal is for borders. So if I wanted to all border this chart here, guys, I would go and I would go all borders, and it would only do that and nothing above, nothing underneath. Okay. But also here, you're going to see something that's pretty neat. And this is before we would even go into insert, is that if you went down to the bottom of this, you could go for borders and shading by,
we can
you
see that. Yeah.
Okay, great. So your borders and shading gives you a chance to determine how you want things boxed, if you want it shadowed, if you want it color to fill that or not. I could do all of these things by just clicking on here. I can say the whole document, or I can just say this section, which is what I would want to do. I would only want this section bordered, and I'm going to tell it at this point, let's see. I want this section. I want this style. I want this shadow, or no, I'll just use the 3D. And then I'm going to tell it, let's see, got my automatic color. I'm going to use black as my theme. So I'm contrasting with my shading. And then here you can go with width as well and make those adjustments. And so once I click on that, all that area is bordered. So that's also a way to highlight your document, but it's not like a table, because a table is different. And so I'm going to undo this. All right. And going into the same section, and I want to draw a table. So I could do this box here and put in last name, what have you. Now, why would I do that? There would be no reason for me to do that. Because that's just a whole lot of work. But people who are very meticulous, they would want to do that. I wouldn't want to do it. I would go to my insert tab and create a table from there. And since we're not in insert tab, I'm not going to talk about that right this minute, but I'm letting you know that if you decide you want to draw a table, it gives you all these options here. You can do view grids, you can do properties, you can draw the table, erase the table, delete the table. You can insert above, below, all these things will pop up to pretty up your area. This is called layout that it went to, okay? The reason why, like I said, if you want this to be a table instead of just a border, then we're going to go to a different section for that. Any questions about it?
I have a question up at your top where you had the arrow that was going either to the left or the right. It has features to what
You talking about this one right here?
up at the top here, right over here when you.
Oh, you mean the undo?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was undoing my paste. Anytime that I make a mistake, I can go to my undo button. It's the same one that they had in regular Word. It's still here. You have the undo button. I call it my Jesus button.
Thank you, Rev. But you took the words out of my mouth. I was getting ready to say that is the most important button.
Yeah, I call it my Jesus button.
You got that right.
Anytime that I make a mistake, he can undo just what I did.
Yeah. You could hit something and it just wipe out the paragraph. You said, what happened? You know, you
And
just
if
hit
you
the
want it
undo and
back,
it brings it right back. You know?
yes, he's a restorer of our broken hearts, and he
You got that
restores on Word.
You got that
Okay.
right. Yeah.
So I wanted to focus now in this section here, and these are
Can I
the,
see that?
yes,
Next to the border, there's a little pail. Did you go over that one?
yes, we did. We talked
Okay.
about this being the color wheel for that. So let me go over that again, just in case. So
I'm sorry.
for gamma, I'm highlighting gamma. Everybody see that? I can go to my pail here, and I can determine I want all of that line yellow because that's the color I chose. Or I can do the whole line in this icky color. Or I can do it in a blue or what have you. So that allows me to do a whole line as opposed to, and let me undo this real quick. If I just wanted to do this highlight here for just this word and not across the line, I would go back to this section that we did before to highlight just the text, and then it would just highlight that. The difference is, do I want the highlighting of the text or do I want the highlighting of the whole line? Do you see the difference?
Yep.
So
if I wanted A to be a different
type it-
color, I could do that too.
if you keep typing on that line, will everything on that line still be, is that how that works? I'm not sure how that works.
So if I wanted to say Ada is
Got you.
the Tuskegee chapter, I'm not sure that that's true, but for Alpha. And so that whole line would be highlighted that way. But you
Okay.
notice it didn't affect Epsilon. So I could
Correct.
just continue and write, they are a great chapter too. And this is the way that you can make your document stand out, your, whatever it is that you're doing now. It's a nightmare with all the color if you're printing, guys, I'm letting you know.
Right.
But if you're sending a document, which we're doing more of these days, then you can just have at it with all your color. And if people are not printing it out, they're all good.
Hey, Rev,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was saying this too. When she said it, this is what I thought. Can you just highlight gamma?
Yes. So just like with Delta, but I would go to this section. Remember?
I know, but I know how to do it. I'm saying just highlight. I want to see something. Okay. So now after Delta, start typing something. Yeah, no, it don't follow it. You know how some things will follow it? Like if you underline something and then you start typing something, the underline will follow it, the things that you
The
you know what I'm
difference
talking?
is, yeah, I do. But
Mhm.
Reverend Terry, the difference is that one thing is that I'm highlighting one text.
Mhm.
If I wanted this whole line, just as she had asked me about before, and I want
Right.
that to continue to follow, when I get here,
Mhm.
I go to the next line
Right.
and it'll keep following, but it will
Right.
only do that with what my girlfriend said is the bucket, but
Bucket,
actually,
gotcha.
what it's called is, if you highlight on it, it's called
Right.
your shading.
Oh,
Okay.
I
gotcha.
couldn't
Okay.
remember the date. It
Yeah.
just looks like paint. But
Yeah, so it'll
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
shading until you change that, where I would go here and I clear that format. Like I can't do that anymore.
Right, right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yep.
And so what I want to do is finish up with home, and then the next time that we meet, we will go with the headings. So here I'm going to use Zeta as into this section where we have normal. I'm going to let me put this in the middle just so that we can see it all together. All right. So here are your headings.
Mhm.
And hopefully you all can see this down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Okay, so I can choose how I want my heading to look depending upon what either I see or I can go through it and see the changes. So this is normal, what I have here right now for this particular font. This one is no spacing, but you can't really see that, and that's not really helpful. But what I would want to do is I could show you, this is header 1. This is header 2. And you can figure out the headers that you want based upon what you want to emphasize. Header 3, header 4. See that little slight change?
Mhm.
Header 5. If I need a title at the top, I would use my title section, which makes it very large. But I can also change the font in that if I wanted it larger or if I wanted it smaller. I could still do that with that. Also, what I would want to do is if I decided I wanted a subtitle is going to look different than your title. If I wanted a subtle emphasis, it's going to slant. And if I want emphasis, it's going to slant some more. Intense emphasis. And I know that it doesn't look like it's changing much, but it is. And then strong. If I wanted to do a quote, usually if I'm doing a quote of maybe Charles Spurgeon or R.C. Sproul, I would put it in a quote section or an intense quote so that I could give credit to the persons that the credit is due. Because, you know, as we know, we're not that smart and we don't know all that stuff. So you have where you can go through and see everything together is by going to this downward arrow next to that, which is your styles pane. And you can see everything that I've just shown you over and again. So I could do it up here, or I can go to the styles pane. That was the thing that they added with the download that they did not have in Word. Usually you had to go through all the framing of that. It allows you to go through each section and see it, you know, and it just pops each time. And there's some other things that are more advanced that you can do is you can show direct formatting guides and different styles, and then you can create new styles yourself by going to the properties and saying, this is kind of what I want mine to look like. And you can keep that formatted throughout your paper, your handout, whatever. The last two things that I want to talk about that's on this page with the download is just a blessing to me completely. Let me go on and clear a space. So let me give you a new page just so that you can see how this feature works. And then you all can play with this yourself as you go along. All right, I'm going to share my screen again. Up in this right-hand corner, you're going to see something that says dictate. And those of you who have a mic on your computer, easy for you to do.
It's
So
on a different screen now, I think, because I don't see the microphone anymore.
can you see it here?
No, your screen hasn't caught up yet.
Let me go.
Nope.
Let me stop sharing for a second. Let me take this one down. Let me bring this one up. Okay, I'm going to share again. All right, the microphone is over here in this corner. This is
Yep.
There now.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
I can see it, I see it.
So the beautiful thing about this, for those of you who don't type fast, now you're going to have to do some editing in the things that you do, but the beautiful thing of it is that it will dictate for you. So here at the bottom, you see where it's listening,
Yes.
period. I want to dictate this letter to all these wonderful people who are on this class, period. Thank you for showing up and learning about the wonderful things that Word Online has for you, period. The thing I like about this particular dictation is that it's much more intelligent than many of the other applications that we have currently, period. I think that Microsoft really worked on this for the purposes of those who were disabled, period, and those of us who don't type fast, period. It could be a blessing to you and to all your generation, period. Okay, I've stopped the microphone and I've clicked that out, and everything that I have here is already written for me. Did you all see that happen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Do you see any advantage for this, guys?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes,
Yes.
a whole lot.
Amazing,
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yes.
Now, there are some things that you will have to go on and correct because, you know, as it's clearly saying, it's like, you know, and you can go in and make those changes, but it's so much easier than if you had to, you know, type it in if you are not a good typist.
Right. Amen. That's cool.
So I'm going to go to my editor right here. And my editor score is calculated at 100 words. But I also want you all to see here at the very bottom, you see here, can you all see this?
Mhm.
Yes,
It's
Yes.
page 1 of 1. So it shows me in my document that I have one page only, that I have a total of 103 words.
Mhm.
I have 103 words, 448 characters. So this would be too big for Twitter, guys. And characters with spaces, it would be too big for Twitter. So you would know that if I only have 180 characters on Twitter, this is too much, okay? Even though it's only 103 words, it is 448 characters. And characters are things that are spaces and periods and question marks and exclamation points and all that other stuff, okay? Also down here, you'll see that you have that we're in English, United States. If I was from China, let's go here, see if I can go down here. Then I would let it know that I'm in China and I want to use that as my default because it's going to deal with my letters appropriately. If you don't know Chinese, that's not going to help you guys. But it will help those who are writing in Mandarin, or what's the other language for under, it's Mandarin and it's another word. Mandarin, what's the other language, guys? For, well, it doesn't
I've
matter.
only known Mandarin. For
Yeah,
all of
there's two main languages in China, and it's Mandarin and it's another one, but I can't think of the name of it. The reason why I'm helping you focus down here is because you want to know that if I'm focusing and I click on this focus, it brings everything into focus, whatever section that I'm dealing with, so that I don't have to concentrate on the whole document itself. And then, of course, everything is the same in terms of your outline, how you do outlines, how you show your documents in there. All of those things are still the same that they had in your regular Word. And then, of course, you can increase your font while you're working on it, because those of us who are more visually challenged in these days, we might need a little bigger font these days than not, right? Those of you who are blessed with, you know, the 2020, then you never have to worry about that.
Cantonese.
Huh?
Cantonese.
Cantonese.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I knew it was two languages. I just couldn't remember the other one. Because one is part of Southern and the other part is the Northern language. So any questions about home? We've talked about home. We've talked about home sharing. I hope that you've learned at least something new that you may not have known that before in your home. And then the next time that we meet, we will talk about insert, because there's a lot of neat things in insert, because we're at 5:44 now. I'm going to pause this.